Ladies and gentlemen of Life is Beautiful, please join me in welcoming America's favorite scientist, Bill Nye the Science Guy!
Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Inertia is a property of matter.
Oh, we love that song! Woo! Oh, cool! Thank you all! Thank you! Wow, you kids, this is crazy. This is nutty. It's so good to see you all. Woo! I was really excited about this. Really excited about being at Life is Beautiful until just a couple minutes ago. No, somebody came up to me and said, "Is Bill Nye your real name?" And I said, "Well, it's William Nye." He said, "Well, why did you change it?" Whoa, man, we're gonna be here a while. No, it's good to see you all. You guys, as you may know, it's 38 Celsius outside. It's 102, 107 Fahrenheit today. It's September, we're into fall, we're into autumn of 2015. Don't worry about it. It's just a little climate change. Everything's cool, everything's fine. So it's so out of hand. How out of hand is it? Even the Pope is talking about it. I mean, somebody's going to have to do something. So I think about you guys and how you all are going to, dare I say it, change the world. Yes. My parents, I am of a certain age, and my parents were both in World War II. My dad had this cool idea to make money real fast, the same way people do go to Alaska fishing, that kind of thing. And he ended up becoming a prisoner of war of the Japanese military. And if you guys get a chance to spend 4 years in prisoner of war camp, don't do it, really. It's not the way to go. No, that's not, I mean, they make, comedy shows about, really, don't go that route. And so he would be called part of the greatest generation. Meanwhile, my mom was graduated from college in Baltimore, Maryland, at Goucher College, where the dean of students happened to be the first cousin of the Secretary of War. Now, this is back when we called it the Department of War, rather than the Department of Defense. And so people, I think, thought about what that business was very differently. I often wonder how things would be different if we called it the Department of War again. Instead of defending our oil on the other side of the world, I wonder if we would be thinking about it differently. It might not make any difference, but it might change the way everybody thought about it. Anyway, my mom ended up in the Navy. For 4 years, she worked on this mythic thing, the Enigma Code. Yeah, my mom, yeah. I don't want to shock you. This may shock you, but my mom was recruited because the family myth is she was good at math and science. That's the family myth. I got to say, she was really good at puzzles. She was really good at crossword puzzles and stuff. They were declassified in 1992. 50 freaking years they kept secrets. What did you do during the war, Mom? Can't talk about it. Can't talk about it. I don't know what you mean. Nothing. We did nothing. I don't know. So anyway, there was quite a thing. After that, she got a subscription to Cryptography magazine, which, you don't want to miss that. That is a party. And so my parents got married after my dad lived through it. He came back. And they were part of the greatest generation. And if you go to Arlington Cemetery, they're there, they're buried there, their ashes are there, and it's quite moving. And people have said they were the greatest generation, and there'll never be another generation that good. And when I listen to that, I basically think, well, I suck. You know, I mean, there it is. But what happened was they played the hand they were dealt. They were born at a certain time, and this world crisis came up, and they just got to work and did what they had to do to get through it, to change the world. And I submit to you, you are all living through a crisis even bigger than World War II. And I want you all to get to work and change the world. I want you to be the next great generation. Now, right on. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, I want to be involved. but you people are, you people. You all are the future. People attending the Life is Beautiful concerts are the future. And right on. And I want you guys to get together and change the world. So there's just a few things you have to do. It's not going to be that difficult, for crying out loud. First of all, let me point out that one of the things we have to do is derail or brush aside, or if we were playing hockey, we would skate them into the boards, the climate deniers. We have to take them out. I used to think it wasn't such a big deal. I used to think, you know, I don't know if you heard about this. I went to Kentucky last year. Yeah. And there's these people who have access to millions of dollars who don't believe in the fundamental idea in all of life science. And that's charming. I mean, no, like once in a while, so, you know, I'm a big skeptic. I'm in both big skeptic organizations. And it's charming. Once in a while, you meet people who think the earth is flat. And they insist on it, and they have models and stuff. And it's funny. I mean, they're interesting people. And you'll meet people who believe in ghosts. And I saw on many street corners, just driving through Las Vegas for a few minutes, there's a lot of psychics. So if you need help, they're readily available. And I mean, for the most part, you know, it's charming. People go to them for fun, mostly, I think. And it wouldn't matter if you don't believe in evolution, if you don't believe in the fundamental idea in all of life science, unless you raise your kids this way. And then we taxpayers have to deal with this. If you have fellow voters and taxpayers who don't believe in vaccinations, who don't believe in geology, who don't believe in the way diseases are spread from person to person, who don't understand that raising the standard of living of women reduces problems for everybody. If you don't get all that, it's okay for you as a grown-up, but for me, as a taxpayer, it's a real hassle when your people come of age and are just out of touch with all. So we have to take the deniers off the field somehow. And there's just two reasons that the climate is changing in the biggest picture, everybody. Next time you meet a denier and there's an issue, there's two things. The first one is, well, let's just talk about me again, finally. I was at the World's Fair in 1964 in New York City, New York, the town's so nice, they named it twice. And at that time, the United Nations had a big screen, a big totalizer board, and we had just missed it changing. Now this is, you know, my dad was really into sundials. He developed his own film. He was, you know, a nerd. And we just missed it changing from 2,999,999,999 humans in the world to 3 billion plus. We just missed, just by a few hours, we missed it. It was like, that would have been cool, man. We could party like it was 2,999,999,999, but we just missed it. Anyway, you all were born when there were about 6 billion, Now there's almost 7.3 billion people on Earth. That's the first thing. The second thing is if we had some extraordinary car on some extraordinary road, this would be a ladder car on a ladder road, and we could drive straight up on Las Vegas Boulevard. If you go to Hoover Dam or something, it would take about an hour to be in outer space at highway speeds. In 5 minutes, by the way, you'd be above the breathable atmosphere. Just boom, at highway speed. But on Las Vegas Boulevard, it would take you a couple hours, 4 or 5 hours, to go those 100 kilometers, 60-something miles into outer space. So that's it, everybody. We have this huge planet, and the atmosphere is just that thick. And there's 7.3 billion people breathing and burning it. That's why there's climate change. It would be fine if, like in my grandfather's time, there were 1.5 billion people riding horses. That would be cool. But that's no longer the case. Now there's 7 billion people driving cars, flying planes, using industrial scale agriculture with enormous farm machinery. That's why it's going on. So we got to get the deniers to cool it. Now with that said, deniers, if you're out there, it's the fall of 2015. There's an election coming up. I don't know if you heard about this. In 2016, there's several people running for president. I think it's, were there 150 people? 150 people are running for president. But anyway, there's time. If you're out there, conservative politician who's made his career or her career on denying climate change, there's time for you to turn around. You got a year and a half, a year and a third. And listen, climate denier politician, if you're out there, listen to these people. You could get their vote. They'd have respect for you. You could change, and then you'd get this whole cadre, this whole cohort, this enormous demographic of people that would embrace your ability to think clearly. It would be fabulous. So it would be like, did anybody here quit smoking? Has anybody ever quit smoking? Right on. You know, these people are the most rabid anti-smoking people you're ever going to meet, right? They're the people that go into the hotel room and just start sniffing. They're just like, what happened in here? So if a conservative politician who's made his or her career on denying climate change now. September 2015, and these people will all be with you, maybe, in 2016. This is your big chance. So what I want you all to do is come up with new ways to produce energy from renewably. And by new, it's the technology exists. We just have to embrace it on an industrial or continent-wide scale. So people have done very compelling studies. We could make all the energy we need in all 50 US states from wind and solar without really any need for extraordinary new battery technology if we just decided to do it. We could reduce the emissions, the carbon emissions of the United States 80% by the year 2030, which I'll just tell you guys, as an old guy, 2030 is coming up like that. You know, I mean, I was 25 years old summer before last. But now I'm a lot older than that. It just goes really fast, that's all I'm saying. So what we have to do, everybody, we have to electrify our ground transportation. All our ground transportation has to be electric. Anybody here drive an electric car? Right on. After you have an electric car, you will never go back to a 20th or 19th century style gas-powered car. You just will not go back. Electric cars are so much more pleasant. They're quieter, the center of gravity is lower to the ground, they accelerate so much more funly. They're so much more fun to drive. They're quiet and low to the ground. It's just, see, an electric motor has all its torque at 0 speed. So there's none of this power curve stuff. You don't have to put up with that when you have an electric car. So we do it to the buses, we do it to the cabs, we do it to the trucks. I say do it, embrace the technology revision. Yeah, I'm not really want to do it to the truck. Can we say do it here? Okay, I'm supposed to avoid that. So we electrify the ground transportation, and that frees up all this energy to do other stuff. The real challenge out there, any electrical engineers, any turbo machinery people? Anybody? Woo, turbo machinery! Yes! No, what we want to do with aircraft is have them run on hydrogen. And we'll make the hydrogen by splitting water with electricity into hydrogen and oxygen. H2O, if I'm going too fast, let me know. But this is going to be a whole new thing. The wings would have a different shape, the turbines, the engines, the nacelles would have a different shape. But we could do this, and what I submit to you all, there's a conference on climate change coming up in Paris in December, end of November, December. And what I submit is, I've been to a few of these things, and what it boils down to is countries in the developing world especially, and then smaller industrial countries are all just like, and so we hereby move to resolve, to move more quickly, to make resolutions as we quickly move forward. And it's conducted in English. You know, when I was really young, all these diplomatic things were conducted in French. It's quite extraordinary. But now it's all conducted in English, and these people just parse every word because the United States is not leading. If the United States were out in front on renewable technology, if we said we're going to electrify ground transportation entirely in the next 2 decades, we're going to develop hydrogen turbines for airplanes, for example, we're going to have electrical storage in everybody's car, everybody in the world would be on board with this. Everybody in the world would come along. But as it is right now, and don't get me wrong, we elect these people, I love them more than life itself. They're my fellow humans. But it amounts to essentially whining. Well, the United States isn't going to do anything unless India in the Northwest province cuts its emissions. Would you stop it? Like, if the United States were out in front, everybody would be on board. And so this is our chance, you guys, this fall, 2015, leading up to the 2016 election, this is our chance to get everybody in the U.S., or enough people in the U.S., on board with the importance of climate change so that we can make these technological changes, which will, dare I say it, change the world. So in the same way, we know how many toilets flush at halftime of the Super Bowl. We know where everybody's car is parked. So what we can do, it's this very similar technology to mobile phones. What we could do is if everybody's car is parked at the shopping mall on Saturdays, it's parked at the factory during the week, it's parked at UNLV at this certain class times, right on. Then we could move everybody's electricity around in everybody's parking lot for the benefit of everybody. So people have done studies in any district, as we say in meteorology, in weathercasting. In any district, the wind is blowing sometime. There's never really a time any place in the US or Canada where the wind is not blowing at some point. So if we could move that electricity around, we would not need to burn fossil fuels. And we are here in the desert. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful. There's all kinds of solar power to be had. I want one of you, would somebody go into the solar hot water business? For crying out loud, people, it is not, I can't hear you, sorry, man, but give it applause, whatever it was. I can't hear you. This solar hot water systems are not rocket surgery, okay? It's just, that's a joke. It's just plumbing. It's plumbing. Who's better at plumbing than the United States? I mean, who, what? Holland, I don't know, somebody, yeah. So there's sort of 4 things I want you all to do. The better battery. Whoever invents a better battery is going to just get crazy rich. okay? I don't care about me. You're going to be like Bill Gates rich. Okay? You're going to be like head of IKEA guy rich. Okay, then better transmission lines, okay, better electricity transmission, both on big scales, like citywide scales, and also I think there's a way to make better electrical transmission in phones and electrical circuits using carbon. And then desalinization of water. If you guys could desalinate water. And the great promising technology is graphene. This would be a single sheet of carbon where the slip length of the salt molecule is longer than the thickness of the graphene, and so that you can the salt stays behind, you just gently push the water through this stuff. If that turns out to work, it would change the world. And then the main thing, these are technical things. I'm a mechanical engineer. Well, I mean, I'm human, but the main thing is probably not technical. The main thing is political or policy. What we need is a fee on carbon dioxide. In other words, whenever you make carbon dioxide, you pay a fee for it. Now, we cannot possibly ever call this a tax. That would be evil. Taxes are evil. But fees are happy. Whoever, rich guys, rich people make more carbon dioxide, they'd pay a higher fee. Then we have a system to collect the fee, our good friends at the Internal Revenue Service. And then we would redistribute that wealth to raise the standard of living of women and girls and change the world, all right? And what this would do, the fee would induce people to create these new technologies, people like you. And we're so close. We just have to embrace it and get going. So you guys, this is our moment. I'm just honored to be able to speak to you. This is our time, right here in the fall of 2015. We're coming up on the big election. This is a turning point, another just turning point, everybody. And so just as I say to you all, if you don't want to vote, would you just shut up and let the rest of us vote? And if you are a conservative voter out there, right on. You can't have just one political party, but if you're a conservative voter out there, put pressure on your people to have whoever it is you're going to vote for embrace the problem of climate change so that we can get to work on it. Because it's a big deal. Now, you guys, we are very happy to be here, very, very lucky to be here. You know, we have a saying this weekend, life is beautiful. And if we go over to the UNLV Stadium, it holds, does it hold 55,000? Is that right? How many? 40,000. 40,000 people. Okay, so imagine this in your mind's head. Your life's going to take place down on the field. Your life's down there in the field. And every day in the rules of this thought experiment, you have to sit in a different seat. So you sit here one day, and then here, and then here. And each day it looks about the same, right? Each day, what's going on in the field looks about the same. But after a while, you notice that you are looking at things with a different perspective. Okay, if you live to be 82 years old and 7 weeks, that's 30,000 days. You will not sit in every seat in the stadium, and then you're dead. That sucks. So that is why, in my opinion, we have to make the most of our time here. We want to leave the world better than we found it. And in order to do that, we have to embrace these new technologies and these policy changes so that we can change the world. When I was... Right on! You know, I did that science show to get people excited about science. But not just about the facts of science, the process. Science is the best idea humans have ever had. It's how we've learned about nature. Okay? When I was in 2nd grade, Mrs. McGonagall read to us from this great big book, The Ancient Dinosaurs, died out because they had small brains. So the mammals took all their food and the dinosaurs died. Even she knew that was just lame, all right? There's just no way. I mean, just imagine, okay, I'm a Tyrannosaurus. And here's a rabbit, you know. Oh. I mean, that's not why dinosaurs died out. They died out because the Earth got hit with an asteroid. That could happen again. Got to take it seriously. So for that, we have to explore space. In other words, while we're solving these problems here on Earth, redistributing wealth, advancing the quality of life of women and girls so that human population reduces in a controllable way and a better quality of life for everyone. While we're doing that, we have to continue to explore. If we stop exploring space, what does that say about us? I mean, if you meet somebody, oh, I don't care what's out there. I mean, no. Whatever it says about you, it sucks. No, you have to look up and out. We have to make sure we don't get hit with an asteroid. I'm not kidding. It's like Control-Alt-Delete for civilization. On Mac, it's wipe. It's something wipe. Yeah. You don't want that. And then the other thing, you guys, is if we were to discover life on Mars or life on Europa, the moon of Jupiter that has twice as much seawater as the Earth, it would change the course of human history. It would be like Galileo discovering the moon is bumpy, or Copernicus proving that the Earth goes around the sun, not the other way around. It would change the way everybody thinks about what it means to be a living thing. It would change the world. And so I want you all, thank you so much for your support, by the way, but I want you all to enjoy the festival, but think deep thoughts. Okay, when I was in 3rd grade, Mrs. Cochran said, there are more stars in the sky than grains of sand on the beach. And Mrs. Cochran, lady, really, have you been to a beach? Have you been? I mean, it's just so extraordinary. I wouldn't have expressed it quite this way. Mrs. Cochran, are you high? Like, there's no way. Lady, you go to a beach, there is sand. 1,000 nautical miles in every direction, there's sand. If you look behind you, there's more sand. The tide goes out and there's sand. You shuffle your feet and there's sand. Get this, people, there are about 100 times more stars than there are grains of sand, not on a beach, but on Earth. So I stood there. It was the summer after I was in 3rd grade. I was in Delaware, the first state, the Diamond State, the land of pleasant living. And I stood there, and I started to feel insignificant. You know, I mean, I realized that if you looked at me from space, wow, that's just troubling. If you looked at me from space, you wouldn't even see me. I'd be like, can the astronauts see Bill waving his arms? No, you're nothing. So I just realized that I'm no different from these grains of sand. I'm just another speck on the beach full of little specks. And then the Earth, people, really, in the cosmic scheme of things, the Earth is another speck. I'm a speck, standing on a bunch of specks, which are part of a speck, orbiting the sun, completely unremarkable star. That's another speck in the cosmos of specks. I'm a speck with specks on a speck, orbiting a speck with a bunch of other specks in the middle of specklessness. I am nothing. But with my brain, I can embrace the process of science. I can think about my place in the cosmos, my place in space, and my place in our society with my fellow human beings. And with our brains, we can, working together, dare I say it, change the world! Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Life is beautiful. Okay.
guys. You've been doing it all night. This whoa. You've been doing it all night. Thank you. Life is beautiful. Woo! Thank you, my dad. Thank you.
Angelic glow makes the lights go dim. His wit, his charm, his grace, they all